Isang mapagpalang gabi po sa inyong lahat at welcome po sa ikalimang episode ng ating hashtag Youth Talks, the voice of today's generation. Kamusta po ang lahat? Sana po ay na-enjoy po ng lahat ang nagdaang Valentine's at yung mga wala pong nakadate ay wag po kayong mag-alala dahil tayo pong gabi, tayo ang magkakasama. Ramdam ko po na hindi tayo mag-iisa dahil marami tayong matututunan sa gabing ito kasama ang aking host na si Ate Grace. Hello Ate Grace, good evening.
Hello Kuya BJ at tama ka dyan dahil siyang tunay, hindi namin hahayaan na mag-isa ka. Makakasama mo hindi lamang ako, pati na rin ang ating magigiliw na mga manonood sa kani-kanilang tahanan.
Yes, at alam natin na excited na ang lahat sa ating topic na tatalakayin ngayon at sigurado ka Ate Grace na makaka-relate lalo na tayong mga kabataan sa topic na ito ngayong gabi. Ngunit bago tayo magsimula, upang magbigay ng kaalaman sa ating mga taga-subaybay, maaari mo bang i-share Ate Grace kung ano ba ang essence o kung ano ang ibig sabihin at layunin ng ating programang hashtag Youth Talks?
Oo naman Kuya BJ, para sa ating loyal at mga bagong taga-subaybay, ang hashtag YouTalks ay isang talakayang programa na isinagawa ng Komisyon ng Kabataan para sa ating mga kapwa kabataan. Dito ay tinatalakay ang iba't ibang topics na siguradong makaka-relate ang lahat dahil sa bawat topics na tinatalakay ng ating mga guest speakers ay talagang nakabase sa bawat pinagdaanan hindi lamang ng mga kabataan, pati na rin ng mga nakakatanda. Layunin din ng programang ito na magbigay ng mga kaliwanagan at magbigay ng kaalaman sa iba't ibang aspeto ng buhay, lalo't higit sa buhay espiritual. Look interesting, right?
Yes, tama ka dyan Ate Grace. Kaya naman, wag na nating patagalin pa at upang formal na simulan ang ating programa ngayong gabi, inaanyayahan po ang lahat na maglaan ng sandaling katahimikan bilang pagbibigay daan at pakikiisa sa ating pambungad na panalangin.
We are blessed, blessed 100-fold, the cross of Jesus Christ in our holy shores.
Is now 500 years, awesome to behold. He has made us all new. We belong to His fold.
The gospel is a blessing, but also a mission. To the poor and the children, we bring His salvation.
To the rest of the world, His message of compassion. To all of humanity, His challenge of conversion. We are blessed, we are loved, we are called, we are sent.
We will teach, we will serve.
mapagpalang gabi sa inyong lahat. Sa ating mga magigiliw at masugid na taga-subaybay sa kani-kanilang tahanan, hello at welcome po sa ating 5th episode ng ating Hashtag You Talks, the voice of today's generation. Bago tayo magpatuloy sa ating talakayan for tonight, maaari mo ba kaming bigyan ng konting pahapyaw tungkol sa naging topic natin sa 4th episode, Kuya BJ?
Oo naman, Ate Grace. Noong nakaraang episode ay tinalakay ng ating guest speaker na si Brother Miqueas ang kahalagahan ng pagiging isang responsableng mamamayan para sa pagbabago ng ating bayan. Narinig natin kung paano ang boses natin bilang isang pamayanan ay siyang makatutulong upang maisaayos ang ating kalagayan bilang isang bansa. Siyempre, ito ay dulot na rin sa pamamagitan ng paggabay ng ating Panginoong Diyos.
Maraming salamat, Kuya BJ, sa pagbibigay baliktanaw sa tinalakay natin noong 4th episode. Alam kong excited na ang lahat dahil alam kong hindi lang kayo tuwing Valentine's Day in love dahil araw-araw kayong in love. Upang ipakilala ang ating guest speaker for tonight, narito po ang aming Parish Commission on Youth Spiritual Advisor, Reverend Father Francis Joel Cruz.
Hello po sa inyong lahat.
Good evening po,
Magandang gabi
Father.
po. At nakatutuwa po dahil pang 5th episode na po natin ngayon ng ating Youth Talks, the voice of today's generation. And for this night, hindi po basta-basta ang ating guest speaker dahil siya po ay naging Executive Director ng Student Catholic Action of the Philippines o SCA at naging Associate Dean of Student Affairs sa Salle University. Isang mabait, masipag at mapagmahal na tao. Pinapakilala ko po sa inyo si Mr. Cyril Lituañas. Let us give him a virtual clap.
Hello po, good
Hello
evening
po, good evening po.
Hello po.
Good evening, Ate Grace and Kuya BJ. Hello, Father Joel. Thank you, Father Joel, for that simple and very sweet introduction. Ko dun sa introduction. But tawag nito sa topic ninyo ay youth in love, no? Talagang nakaka-in love ang gabing ito, no? Sa topic na ito. And I'm happy that I'm here and part of your youth talks, no? This is like a series pala, no? And I'm so happy na ilan sa mga parokya katulad ng parokya ninyo ay nag-organize ng ganitong mga programa, no, para sa mga kabataan. And tonight I'll be sharing with you some of my reflections on how the young people fall in love and how the state of the youth, no, in terms of who they are and in terms of like ano na yung mga how they fall in love or how they fall in love, protect themselves, no? And what can we do as Christians, as Catholics, to nurture and continue this gift that God has given us? So that's our reflection. That's sharing that I'll be giving it tonight. But itong reflection na ito ay galing sa siguro sa aking sa mahabang karanasan na nakikisama sa mga kabataan for more than 20 years of working and accompanying the youth. And some of these would also be my experience, and some would also be coming from the research studies that I've encountered from my colleagues de La Salle University and some scholars, no, na makikita natin sa mga journals, no, na nababasa natin. So I don't know if it's interesting, no, sa side niyo ngayon yung kwentuhan natin, no, sa gabing ito. So I think, no, before we really begin and sharing my reflection, perhaps we can start, no, asking you, no, ano lang, siguro you can just put your answers, no, on chat, no, parang trivia lang or just a question on the favorite movies that you like, no, or romantic movies. So yung mga themes ay mga love story or on love, Sige nga, baka pwede ninyong i-chat, no? Could be foreign or Filipino. Naku, kailan kaya yung last na napanood ninyo ng mga movies or serye na marami naman? Sige, maybe you can just answer or put your answers no on chat at yun no. Siguro din no mga kabataan din kasi mahilig din sa mga songs eh. They keep yung mga songs ngayon ng mga ano bang mga romantic songs, mga love songs na favorite. Yung mga awit ni Ben and Ben. Meron bang mga Titanic, no? Nakita ko yung sa Titanic.
Ayun po.
Oo, so ano ba yung mga love songs din siguro? Baka pwede natin ding i-share ano yung mga favorite na mga love songs natin.
Favorite love songs, favorite movies, comment down na kayo.
Yan, so may isang small na Titanic. But anyway, keep on answering na lang. Hindi kayo ma-bored no, doon sa aking sharing. Just kung may maisip kayo ano yung song na yon or ano yung movie na yon, just put that on chat. I'm just asking that no, I'm just I started with that kasi alam natin na ang Pilipinas ay isang bansang majority ay mga kabataan no, na 28%. But tingnan natin, kung titingnan natin, punong-puno ng pagmamahal no, ang bansang Pilipinas because of the youth as well, no? Kasi they love to watch movies talaga, na romantic movies. And they also love to listen songs, no? May mga ano yun, alam ko yan, paubaya kay Moira. So that's really a favorite and The Fault in Our Stars. So this time, so
Yeah, the Fault in Our
yeah, so no, it's very interesting, no? Yung mga ano na yan. But in a way, the stories of our the stories that were portrayed no, in the movies and even in songs reflect the life of the youth. Kung gaano sila anong klase silang magmahal. No? Normally, may mga stories dyan of mga crushes. Normally, may mga stories ng mga unrequited love, yung one-way lang na relationship, no? Or it could be like romantic breakup. So, painful songs, but a lot of young people can relate. And I'm very, very sure, no? Nakakakilig yung ibang mga songs at movies, nakakaiyak, but I'm very, very sure that nakaka-relate ba kayo? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true, no? And sometimes, no, with these songs at movies na pinapanood natin, in a way, na-influensya tayo kung paano tayo mamuhay, paano natin sasagutan ating kapasidad kung paano tayo magmahal. Minsan, nakaka-contribute ang pagbuo ng mga ganung awit, but itong mga awit na ito at mga pelikula, sila din minsan ang nagbibigay sa atin ng idea na ito nga pala. This is how we learn. That's just a glimpse of young people, in love, youth in love. But we're talking about youth in love. I'd like to go back to the idea na we really want to know who the young people are, who the youth are, no? The youth of today or in our country, maybe in the world, some perspectives. So, I'd like to begin with that, no? Who are the young people today?
Pero po, Brother Cyril, bago po kayo magsimula, ay iwan po muna namin kayo sa floor po para po take nyo po inyong time para makapag-explain ng inyo po talk.
All right, sige. So, let me continue with the sharing on who the Filipino youth are. No, who are the Filipino youth today? Perhaps we can go over with that. No, on that slide. Please continue. Please continue. Ayan. Sa tanong na yan, pwede rin siguro tayong sumagot, ano? Maybe just a word. How can you describe the Filipino youth today? Just a word on chat. You can post your answers on chat. Who are the Filipino youth today? And please continue lang, no, answering question. Just a word on how can you describe the Filipino youth today. At alam natin, no, na in our country today, as I've said earlier, that in about 110 million Filipinos, 28% are youth, no, age 10 to 24. No? And there are studies, no, a lot of studies about who the young people are, no, in terms of their religiosity, in terms of um, yung behavior nila sa studies. Ang daming mga pag-aaral ngayon. But titingnan natin sa perspektibo din ito, no, kung sino ang mga kabataan. No. Please continue lang sa slide. Ayan, no. Continue lang po. So, ang realidad ng kabataan, no, at ang setting, no, kung saan pwede nating makita ang mga kabataan ay nasa mga pamantasan sa schools, no. Many of the youth and students are actively engaged, no, in activities and enjoy doing services for others. Yung iba naman ay hindi active doon nasa schools, but sila ay makikita natin doon. We can also see young people in the parish, no. They are attending or hearing the mass on Sundays, but not actively engaged in the youth ministry. Others are both attending and actively engaged naman. There are young people today who are also doing engaging in organizations and movements, no, and communities. So they belong to religious organizations or any other communities or organizations. No? We can also see young people now. No, please continue. We can also see young people in. Please continue with the slide. Doing online games. A lot are, if you want to see the young people today, you can also see them online. No, try to play Mobile Legends, ML. Now, I do play Mobile Legends. Hanapin niyo ako doon. At iba pang mga games. And some are enjoying physical activities, no, and games for yung pagpapaganda ng katawan at physical activity, sports, no, at iba pa. Yung karamihan din ng mga kabataan, majority ng kabataan ay nasa social media. At yung iba ay mayroong tinatawag ngayon sa sociology nga na bagong mukha ng mga kabataan ngayon na nasa alter world. Busy sa social media. Ang daming mga ganap sa social media at yung sa older world. No, ito yung parang in a way space, no, could be in social media na hindi nakapakilala, no, na hindi pinapakita yung kanilang totoong identity, no, so ito ay lumalawak, no, na pag-uusap at ito din ay mga settings at isang space na doon na i-express ng mga kabataan yung kanilang identity. May mga kabataan din tayo nakikita, no, sa yung tinatawag nating OSY or out of school youth, no. They have less access to the institutions or organizations na pinuprovide or yung access ng education at yung mga activities, no, for some reasons. May mga nakikita akong may mga nakikita akong sagot, no, na mga pelikula pa ito, but itong describing the young people today is sinabi mabilis daw ma-fall, no. Filipino nowadays is market too emotional. Tama, no, at merong risk takers, no, marupok, fallen for you. Ano ba to? Is this a movie or a song, no? So thank you for all your answers, no, itong sa about the Filipino youth. Please, next slide, please. Ayan, so base sa mga pag-aaral ng ating mga scholars, may mga tema na tinitingnan ngayon, no? Themes of the lives of the youth today. We know technology as a fifth sense, isa yan, that the Filipino youth would sooner save their laptop or computer than their sense of smell. No? Technology gives them superpowers, they say, and 50% believe mobile technology can help solve real world problems like crime and terrorism. Before, during our youth ministry days, ang aming laging sinasabi ay okay lang na hindi makakain basta makaligo kami. No? That was our language. But I'm sure dahil nga ngayon description nga ngayon ng Filipino, ng kabataang Filipino ay it's one of their fifth sense, no? Parang napakahalaga talaga yung hindi okay lang na hindi makakain basta makapag laro or nasa Facebook or whatever. Another theme that we can see is yung social economy, that the young people are increasingly defining themselves by their ability to connect with others. No? They want to be remembered for the quality of their relationships over power or influence. They also want to be sought out and valued for their knowledge. So, magandang magandang description at magandang tema na nakita na kadalasang kabataan ngayon ay Pilipinong kabataan ngayon. Next slide, please. Isa sa mga nakita din na tema is yung justice reimagined. The internet and social media are unifying young people around the world, no, as they reinvent the idea of justice. The sense of right is especially strong among Filipino youth, and justice is a strong motivation due to their numerous worries and concerns. No? If you notice, there are GCs, there are groups, no, group chats or Facebook pages, no, connecting different kinds of people, young people, no, all over the world, no, talking about particular theme on justice. No? Ngayon, very active ang youth on talking about the issues confronting our country today. So, it's reimagined, no? Na-reimagined yung ating sitwasyon. No? It's because of the internet and social media. And also, the theme also is that the youth are truth hunters. No? If authenticity is one of the youth's key motivation, truthfulness is the most important value. They seek in a friend. They state simple but meaningful aspirations to always be healthy, to have a successful career, and to find one soulmate. And Filipino youth also aspire for a better life, which means higher income, peace of mind, and many life experiences. Kaya they love to travel, but they always want to find meaning, no? And they seek the truth. What is it that really would bring truth to me, no? Sa buhay, no? Sa buhay. So these are the themes na isa sa mga scholar na nagsabi. No? Please, next slide. And in some Filipino scholar, no, from Ateneo, he described the youth na they like to eat. Alam nyo, na laging nandun sa, or kung hindi man lagi, they would want to go to a restaurant or coffee shop. They also pray. They go to, they're actively engaged in the church, no? And they are not only disposed to buying gadgets or food tripping, they too can be individualistic, but not necessarily self-centered. But may mga ibang mga pag-aaral ngayon na hindi lang gano'n, na hindi naging individualistic, but gusto ng mga kabataan ng community, no? Dahil din dun sa karanasan na laging nasa social media at may expression ng mga kabataan na gustong makisalamuha at makibahagi, no, para sa iba. Attached to new technology and gadget could seemingly define the millennials as egocentric, but they are not self-seeking. They want activities that give meaning to their lives, no? It's also similar dun sa sinabi, no? At may ilang nagsabi din, no, katulad ng isang American na next slide please, American na youth specialist, no, isang scholar na nagsabi na may mga hinahanap kasi ang mga kabataan. Ang hinahanap ng mga kabataan is itong fidelity, yung faithfulness and truthfulness. Ito yung hinahanap ng lahat ng relationships na dapat totoo ka. Kung kaibigan, kailangan totoo. Yung family, kailangan totoo. Yung simbahan, totoo. Yung realidad na nakikita ko, ang gobyerno natin ay totoo. So lahat, so they long for that. No? They would seek that theme. No? And one important is yung transcendence. Ito yung sinasabi kanina sa dalawa nating scholar na nagsabi na yung transcendence, yung finding meaning. At kadalasan ito nakikita yan sa relationships. No? Doon yun sa relationships ng kapwa. So yung finding meaning in what they do. Doon sa mga ginagawa ng kabataan sa parokya, sa school, at sa iba pa. And for young people, no, because I'm a youth minister, and I could really understand bakit. I remember during my early years, no, when I was like also a youth, no, a younger youth like you, even my parents and some of my friends would ask me, why do you need to do that? Why are you involved in this kind of organization? No? These are some of the questions na hindi ko masagot-sagot, no? But it's some kind of it's going beyond the thing that I do. That is transcendence. It's finding meaning. It gives meaning to me, and so I did, and I engaged this thing, no? To the church, to community, to schools, no? And with others. And one longing is that they want to really belong. This is really an affirmation, and have a good relationship, no? Good relationship, an experience of a healthy relationship among peers, and these are important, no, themes na nababanggit. At even sa aking pag-aaral mismo, no, please, next slide please. Sa aking pag-aaral din mismo is ito ay nakikita ko sa pag-aaral ko sa mga estudyante sa Pamantasang de la Salle na ang kanilang hinahangad, no, they long, what the young people long for is to know themselves. They want to know the answers of the questions that they are throwing. No? They also want to learn more about their lives, about the world. No? It's really about yun yung desire lagi. No? Kaya they're also like interested to learn more, do a lot of things, no, for their studies. Personal growth and relationship. No? Personal growth and relationship. They find meaning in all these things. No? Yung growth na nakikita nila, they find it meaningful. They find satisfaction in relationships. in the organizations that I've been working with now the past like 20 years, youth organizations, a lot of young people stay because they find meaning in relationships, and they find that they've grown. You know? They've they've achieved something. They are satisfied, and I've witnessed that personally and with my colleagues. And kasama na niyan yung uh, relationships. Kasama na rin yan yung growth ng relationship. At very striking din sa aking pag-aaral is that mga kabataan is naghahanap nga ng pagmamahal ng Diyos. And at the same time, they want to serve God. Ito yung mga common themes na lumabas dun sa aking pag-aaral. So, if you try to listen to the different scholars, no, that we've heard no earlier, mga similar yung themes on who the young people are and yung needs nila. Talagang tama nga na itong topic na ito is really on love, no? That young people are always in love. It's always the key element and theme in the lives of the young people. But ito yung importante na makita natin kung ano yung kabataan ngayon, no? Kung ano yung kanilang desire. And I see that I've mentioned that relationship, talking about relationship, it's really love that is very essential in the life of the young people today. So, next slide, please. How are the young people falling in love? No? Who are the youth when falling in love? I'm referring here in some of the studies na meron sinabi, isang American study na sa kanilang pag-conduct ng survey na age 17, grade 7 up to grade 12 high school and up to senior high school, that they had been in 80% actually are in relationship, including a small number in same-sex relationship. This is the survey na meron. So that's relationship is very important. Romantic relationship is important to the young. And in the survey that they conducted, young people without a girlfriend or boyfriend can feel stressed or different, and this is affirmed, no, in the study na pressure yung ibang kabataan na walang boyfriend, na walang girlfriend, na walang relationship. No? Isa yan sa major theme na lumabas. But may mga ilang ano din na pag-aaral dito sa ating bansa na yung edad 13 to 18, yung kanilang natutunan at nakukuha on love and sexuality are from many sources, no? Mainly from friends, from internet. Ito yung sitwasyon, no, ng mga pag-aaral. But nakita ko din yan personally, yung kwento, nakita ko rin yan yung kanilang story kung paano mag-fall in love. It's also true. I can attest, no, that there are young people, no, in the university, in the parish, that are feeling pressured, no, sometimes because of ilang concerns yung paano sila makisalamuha sa opposite sex, no, or paano i-manage yung kanilang relationship, or paano magsimula, manligaw. So all these things are concerns of the young people that are discussed in schools perhaps, but hindi ganon kadali ma-pick up, no, ng mga kabataan sa ating formal na setup. It's because also of yung siguro madaming for many reasons. Next slide, please. So, sharing no earlier that young people no what happens when youth no fall in love no na yung sinasabi natin na um, what happens when you fall in love it's um, it's a beautiful it's actually a beautiful and nice no feeling no when we fall in love for the young people uh, it would always begin with the feeling of attraction, feeling of yung infatuated. You always think of the person, no? Nakakakilig, no? Yung kilig moments na yan. Uh, that is one of the signs no for the young people no, fall in love. Tapos we always give priority. These days you chat, no? Um, you would want to express no in so many ways but um it can be a challenge no because some of the young people couldn't really manage their emotion when they fall in love so minsan naging ano tayo minsan naging manipulative tayo minsan naging ano what do I mean by that yung manipulative it's it's a behavior sometimes we try to control no or manipulate yung isang tao na gusto tayo and it's actually part no because we're growing physically no? May mga ganyang nangyayari while we uh, become adult no may ganong level no and mas malakas yan yung mga mood swings, yung mag-iba yung ating mga emotions, no? And yung mga desires. We can notice some of these things, no? When young people fall in love, and it's actually part of the romantic relationships, and it's part of the potential for psychological growth, no? While they engage in this and notice the changes, it's becoming part of their growth, and they would learn a lot, no? Gain experience, no? On how to manage these feelings, no? Pag makipag-relate sa crush, for example, or makipag-relate ka sa gusto mo, no? At first, talagang you're really afraid to face your crush, no? And sometimes no nahihirapan kang i-manage no itong mga ganitong feelings na yan but that's really part of the relation part of the growth and we remember no in our studies that yung crushes no yung pag-start ng ganong relationship pag-start ng nagkakagusto at relationship these become part of our identity formation. So you would notice that you understand yourself better, no? Because you start to see all the some of the actions and behaviors or mga actuations na pinapakita no, sa kapwa. Anong mga kadalasang problema naman na nahaharap ng mga kabataan. Excuse me. Yung iba, may mga kabataan tayo na nakakaranas ng mga unhealthy relationships. Unhealthy relationships, isa yan sa mga nabanggit ko kanina, yung too manipulative or controlling or yung too exclusive and too focused with our relationships to the point na nag-control na tayo. We don't really know that we are controlling person. We forget that they're also same like us, individuals. No? Magkaiba tayo. May mga conflicts. No? Sometimes there is like an abuse or violence. There is also an aggression. coerced sexual activity, or even yung mga bullying, or yung sext, yung exchanging mga nudes, for example, on chat, on social media, and all others. No, these are some of the abuses and violence that some of our young people encounter. Um, these are some of the concerns, no, major concerns that we are facing right now, because they young people, no, in some studies, they felt that this is acceptable because they feel that they're accepted, no, and loved, no, itong uh, nag-video chat, no, and all. But may mga ano pa yan, no, may mga cases na i-report, no, at mga ganun cases. So these are some of the challenges and problems. And yung nabanggit ko nga kanina, yung unrequited love and breakup. So ito yung bakit ako lang ang nagmahal siya, hindi naman ako minahal. So yung mga ganong stories, these are very common for young people. And breakup, for example. So kadalasan, no, iilan lang ang mga storya ng kabataan na nakita natin. Personally, nakita ko rin personally na galing sa kanilang yung first love nila hanggang sa nagkatuluyan. May ganong kwento, but kadalasan mga kabataan is they end up break up because according to studies ay pinag-aaralan kasi, no, at they're trying to explore paano ba magmahal, paano ko ba express yung sarili ko sa iba, paano ba i-express yung sarili. So these are some of the concerns, but the problem here is yung managing nitong concern na to, having a breakup, or yung feeling mo talagang yung rejected because yun nga, ikaw lang yung mahal siya, hindi naman ako minahal, no? These would lead to distress and some depression. And few young people, it's sad, no, in our country and in places, kasi gusto ng mga kabataan kasi ng ng Filipino, ng community, ng relationship. So this is one of their major sources of parang problems, no? Or in some studies, they said that yung relationship breakup at iba pa na related nito ay major problem. Parang ito na yung problema talaga. And that's very valid, no? But managing is another thing. Yung managing and learning how to love. So yung managing the conflicts, mag-aawayan, yung jealousy, yung nagsiselos, yung ano pa ba, marami, no, yung yung management, yung hindi nagpapakita, busy. So at yung mga finances, no, finances related is sino manlibre, hindi ako, ikaw ang manlibre yun. So yung mga ganong issues, no, at mga problems. Marami pang mga problema ang hinaharap ng mga kabataan, but ang pinakamataas ngayon na mga problema na hinaharap ng kabataan ay related diyan sa social media, na majority naman din or karamihan ay nakakadulot naman ng kabutihan, no, para sa lahat. Please, next slide, please. So, paano ba natin how do we take care of ourselves? How do we protect? How do young people protect themselves, no? Or how do young people protect their relationships? Una niyan is yung digital responsibility. We have to be cautious and responsible in the use of social media and the internet. Hindi ko nabanggit kanina, no? Isa yun sa mga major concern pala, at isang setting nabanggit ko sa settings at isang major concern is yung online, yung dating app na yun ang kadalasang naging space na ngayon at malawak, hindi na ganun hindi na katulad ng mga dati, physical yung nanligaw, pero kadalasang panliligaw na ginagawa ng kabataan ngayon ay nasa nasa online na siya, sa social media, or sa mga apps, no, Tinder at iba pang mga apps na meron. Marami mga apps at may mga pag-aaral na nakakatulong naman, no? But may mga abuses na ginagawa din ng ating mga kabataan doon, no? Nasapul daw, sabi ng iba, no? But totoo, may mga beautiful stories that happen in the online dating, but there are those that are really, really sad. I heard, no, from friends, no, and the community na may mga hindi ganun kaganda. But we have to be responsible, no? If you remember, we're talking about the authenticity that the young people are looking for. But the major question here is, in doing online dating or online dating, how can we make sure na ito ay authentic yung ating pinapakita at yung ating ginagawa? Another is yung protecting also or managing our relationships is that I think it's important that we should learn this from school, from home, no? Sinabi kong home, no, should be from our parents, or from our very close and genuine friends, real, na hindi ikaw ay ipapahamak, na hindi ka ipapahamak. Yung simbahan, sila dapat ang yung proper education, lahat, no, ng sektor na sana makatulong sa atin. And another is by reflection, prayer, and insights. No, learning from our own experience, no, with God's intervention. Yung balikan yung ating karanasan, no, dun sa ating relasyon, for example, at tingnan kung paano ito nakatulong sa atin, paano ito nakatulong sa sarili. So dapat, no, kung may mangyari man sa atin na ganun, we have to look at the wisdom, the insights, no, beautiful learnings that we could get from it. Next slide, please. So how do we respond, no, as a Catholic youth? No, what role do we play, no, to help build, no, a community of young people? We know that, and this is what we really learn, no, in our church and in our faith, that we are loved by God. Kahit gaano tayo makasalanan, ang Diyos ay talagang nagmamahal, no, sa atin. Yung nabanggit ko kanina na sino ang mga kabataan, nakita natin na sila din ay nangarap, no, or hinangad din nila na makilala pa si Jesus. And if we look at the core of the Christian faith, it's really about love. We know that the core of the Christian faith is love. You remember, no, in the Gospel of John, Jesus Christ summoned his disciples to love one another in the same way he loved them. And this is how we should also portray to our fellow youth and to our kapwa natin, no? And ang daming pag-aaral na ginawa ngayon na tiningnan kung gaano tayo kamahal ng Diyos. Gaano tayo kamahal ng Diyos. There are current studies that show God's benevolent love in our times. I just would like to um, show that with next slide, please. Nag-overtime na ako ng ilang minutes but malapit na ako. Kailangan ko lang tong sabihin na itong idea kasi na may mga studies na nagsasabi na merong link between a person's positive image of God and finding purpose in life. Ito yung sinasabi that for some people, the notion of a loving God facilitates a hope-filled vision of life despite difficult situations. Another is yung experience, no, religious experience. As a feeling, the loving presence of God can help a person prevail over a certain level of discontent. We have to see this as an important, no, as a Christian, it's very powerful, no, yung experiential God representations. These are more meaningful than the doctrinal, yung mga sinasabi sa simbahan, but yung karanasan natin ng Diyos, religious experience. Second, no, third is yung belief in a God who cares for human person's strength. A person's strengths. Yung belief na yan strengthens the marital bond quality of marriage for some Christian couples. They want the relationship blessed during their courting and dating stage, no, even until like marriage. That is something. Another, pang fourth naman, next slide please, is yung that young people today subscribe to a loving image of God, usually exhibit positive behavior. Yung having an image, no, yung having that image of a loving God, that would help, no, the young people encourage na magkaroon ng magandang pakikitungo sa kapwa. And fifth is yung religious engagements that originate from a positive image of God, no, and contribute to a better regard for self and foster life-giving relationships. And yung last na sinabi natin na ganin ka, how important God is, no, is yung belief in God's benevolence, no, helps create positive emotions and leads to positive behaviors for some people. So what we are trying to say here is that there are studies saying that in our experiences, God is so important, and these can help us improve our ways on how to deal with our relationships, especially that we are Christians, not Catholics. And most importantly, next slide, please. The great discovery, and we're talking about youth in love here, is that it's a beautiful discovery that God is faithful. And this is a study conducted by Dr. Fides, no, Castillo, that majority of the youth today discovered and affirmed that God is faithful. This is what God for them and love for them, for the young people. This is a beautiful discovery, especially during this pandemic. So, very important aspect of youth in love as well is that this is not just about us. This is not just about young people having relationship with others. The next slide, please. But it is also about building a community of a church, a community of friendship, yung pag-express ng relationship in the church and the community. Sabi ni Brother Alois of this, a community, no, that the church is called to be a place of friendship for all. No, for this purpose, A radical conversion is necessary today out of faithfulness to the gospel message. Christ, by his love, went to the point of self giving, opened a new wellspring from which we can draw the energy to live as brothers and sisters to promote the dignity of every human being and to take care of creation. Christ asks us to be, by our brotherly and sisterly communion, the sign that he came to unite all human beings in God's love. So, just a summary, no, and conclusion that youth in love always begins with a personal story. It starts with knowing who we are as persons or as a youth, and we get to know more about. When we get to know more about it, we understand ourselves better and our capacity to love as God's children. And we can encounter conflicts or problems while we are in a relationship. There could be violence that happen in relationship because sometimes no, we have not understood who we are as persons. We have not discovered that benevolent God that's always there. That's always there. So um, ourself, we remember, no, it's very essential in the kind of relationship. It's the foundation of our behavior, and we need this. No, when we start to love, we need to find and discover this authentic self that we have, and this authentic self can be found in the core, no? In our core being, our concepts, in our beliefs, no? In beliefs about ourselves, no? That we travel our lives with, no? Every moment of every day, mirrored in God's image and likeness. God has shown his benevolent love through the experiences that we have through family, our friends, church, loving relationships, and in loving relationships. So always be in love with your relationships, your family, your friends, and community. So God bless. Good evening and thank you everyone. Sorry nag-extend ako ng ilang minutes. Good evening. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Brother Cyril Ryan, sa isang nakaka-inspired na talk. At sigurado pong marami po ang mas lalong na in love. Ako po personally, dun po sa mga problems po na pinresent niyo po kanina bilang mga kabataan. Sobrang nakarelate po ako doon kasi as I reflect po, talagang naisip ko na na-encounter ko siya sa araw-araw na pamumuhay ko at sobrang thankful po ako dahil marami po akong nakuhang aral doon sa mga solutions po na ibinigay niyo sa akin. At sigurado po ako may apply ko po yun bilang self-improvement para mapaghusay ko pa po ang aking pagkatao at mas magkaroon po ako ng kakayahan na magmahal ng iba. Diba, Ate Grace, marami tayong natutunan.
Oo, sobra. Sobrang thankful po ako na isa po ako sa naging host ngayon. Tapos, ako po talagang nag-reflect po talaga sa akin yung sinabi niyo po sa dulo na church is called to be a place of friendship for all. So, okay lang na wala kang jowa, okay lang na single ka kasi sa church maraming nagmamahal sa'yo. Meron kang tatakbuhan na family, meron ka na pagmamahal sa family, yung pagmamahal ng friends mo. So hindi mo mafe-feel na parang walang nagmamahal sa iyo na kapag down ka na ikaw na lang mag-isa, walang may pakialam sa iyo kasi sa church meron kang matatakbuhan, meron kang pamilya. So yun po talaga yung tumatak talaga sa akin. Church is called to be a place of friendship for all. Maraming salamat po, Sir Cyril. At alam ko po na marami rin po ang nag-aabang dyan sa ating mga comment section. Pero bago po kami dumako sa inyo, ay simulan na po natin ang Q&A, Kuya BJ.
Brother Cyril, mayroon po tayong isang kasamang guest student na nagnais din pong magtanong at mag-share ng kanyang mga ideas tungkol sa topic na inyong tinalakay. Siya po ay isang senior high school student at isang miyembro ng student council mula po sa Grace of Shekinah School.
Narito po si
Narito
Sir
po
John
si
Ray
John Ray
Sabiniano.
Sabiniano. Ayan, at Grace, habang hinihintay pala natin pumasok si Brother John Ray, ay maghintay muna tayo ng mga comments at tanong mula sa ating Facebook viewers.
Sige. Sir, may nagtanong po mula po kay Sharon Santos Gutierrez. Advice po para sa mga kabataan on how to distinguish if what they are feeling is only if infatuation or true love po. May pinanghuhugutan po ata.
Magandang tanong yan, no? Hindi ko alam kung nabanggit ko ba yan kanina, pero mukhang hindi yata. Kadalasan, ito yung sinabi ko, yung how young people fall in love. Ito yung kadalasan ay nandun tayo sa stage ng infatuation. Ano yung infatuation? Infatuation is laging yung sobrang kilig na kilig ka, no? At ang laging mong tinitingnan dyan is yung sarili. Iba ang true love. Kasi ang true love is yung ikaw mismo ang binibigay yung sarili mo sa tao. No? But hindi lahat yung pagbigay ng sarili ay totoong love din. For example, if you give into sex, for example, that doesn't mean that you are truly in love. It could be in an infatuation. Kasi si infatuation, lalo na sa early stage ng tao, ng kabataan, ay ano yan, napakasarap yung feeling. Yung you would always look forward to. So kaya pwede tayong ma-deceive nito. You have to ask, no? Basic lang, para kasi nga we only have to you have to ask if it is only serving your satisfaction. If it is only like, a look at your own benefit or your own pleasure. At yun ang kadalasang sagot na ito ay infatuation. If it is something like giving oneself and yourself to others for the good of that person, for the good of the others, that is the truth. No? That is the truth. So, mahaba-habang diskusyon yan kung sinabi natin infatuation at true love. But that's not only I think I can share with you on that.
Okay po. Thank you so much po, Brother Cyril, sa pagsagot po ng katanungan na iyan. Meron pa po tayong isang tanong mula po kay Brother Roman Martalia Eusebio. Ang kanya pong tanong ay, ano po ang maipapayo ninyo sa mga kabataan na nagiging biktima or nabiktimang ng love scam?
Ayun. Nabanggit ko yun kanina, di ba? Na isa yan sa mga major challenge talaga ng kabataan ngayon na ang daming nabibiktima dyan sa social media, no? Na magpapakilala hanggang sa magkaroon ng relasyon, tapos into the point na dahil hindi makikita, to the point na mag-exchange na ng mga malalaswang retrato, mga videos, hanggang sa minsan iba-blackmail. May mga cases, mga kabataan na hinaharap na yon. Paano maiwasan ito? You have to be responsible lang talaga sa sarili. Do not engage immediately sa mga relationship na ganyan pag nasa online. You have to meet. On my personal huwag kayong mag-say yes, I do sa online. You have to meet talaga. Mag-ano muna kayo, magkita muna kayo before kayo sabi ng inyong matamis na oo, no? Matamis na oo ninyo. At yung kung ikaw ay nabiktima na talaga, if ito ay malaki yung iyong impact sa buhay mo, if it it's really giving you depression or distress, major feeling of anxiety, you have to go to a professional counselor. No, you can also go to your priest, no, to your parish to ask assistance. You have to share this to a trusted friend or family member, and you have to accept na nagkamali ka. Ito yung sinasabi ko nga, itong stage na yan, yung parang yung tibok ko gustong gusto ko talaga siya Alam mo yun, sinabi ko sa inyo kanina na parang, I would say that's part of our infatuation, yung crush, no? Nagustuhan mo tapos hanggang sa nag-give in ka dun sa mga chats ninyo at nabiktima ka na talaga tuloy. You have to be honest with yourself that you were wrong, you admit that, then you have to solve. And from here, I'm sure that you will learn. Yun yung sinabi ko rin kanina na your experiences during your youthful years ay makakatulong yan sa pag-mature ng inyong mga desisyon na gagawin sa hinaharap. Kasi nasa mga pag-aaral din yan na ang mga mas may edad na, mas less yung kanilang mali in decision making sa relationship. But the younger ones, mas maraming mali. It's because they're learning. Just accept na nagkamali tayo. I hope okay lang yung sagot na yun, no, sa
Yes po. Sobrang fruitful po ng sagot na iyan, Brother Cyril. Pero meron pa pong isang katanungan. Ito naman po ay mula kay Brother Ian Ramirez.
Ian Carlo Ramirez. Totoo po ba na if you really love someone, you need to learn how to let go? Thank you po. Sabi po ni Ian.
If you really love someone, you need to learn how to let go. In a way, that's true, no? Kasi when you love the person, you don't look at yourself. You have to, of course, you have to look at yourself because out of respect. You have to respect naman talaga. Kasi sinabi ko nga na sa inyo kanina, when you love, you give yourself. Mas tinitingnan mo kasi yung kapakanan ng taong minahal mo, hindi ikaw. Kaya you have to learn to let go the person. So letting go means loving the person. I-let go mo siya for an important reason, no? Let go mo siya. So, may ganong story, karamihan akong narinig ng mga kabataan dahil nilet go. Yung halimbawa, yung iba na nagwala dahil yung unrequited love nga, yung sinabing nga, siya lang pala nagmahal. In romantic relationships, no? In romantic relationships, there's always reciprocity. Hindi pwedeng like yung isa lang. In Christian love, what Jesus portrayed and showed to us, it's also like that, but it's not required. Meaning to say, like, God loves us, no? God loves us so much. But ang daming beses, ilang beses tayong like, hindi natin minahal si Jesus. Pero, never na nakalimutan tayo ni Jesus na minahal tayo. But in romantic relationships, we have to understand that there is always a reciprocity. But when one is falling in love to like the other person, one way, you have to understand na this is what makes her or him happy. I have to let you go. And seeing you grow and seeing you happy with others would make you happy because this is your goal. And this is a sign of true love. Yun yung sinasabi ko. Yung paano yung matuto ka to let go of the person kung saan siya tunay na masaya. Kasi ang tunay na kasayahan ng taong mahal mo ay yun ang kasiyahan mo naman bilang taong nagmahal sa kanya.
Okay? Thank you so much po, Brother Cyril. Talagang nakarelate ako at natouch ako sa mga sinabi at talagang tumago sa puso ko. Ngayon naman po ay kasama po natin si Brother John Ray Sabiniano mula sa Grace of Shekinah School, ang ating guest school po para sa episode na ito. Siya naman po ang magtatanong kung siya po ay may katanungan o mag-share ng kanyang mga insights o natutunan sa talk natin ngayon. Welcome, Brother John Ray.
Welcome, John Ray!
Hello po. Hello. Good evening po. Good evening, brother BJ, Ate Grace, and Sir Henry. Okay, so may mga katanungan lang po ako about sa topic natin, which is a very common topic po, which is youth and love. So, ang first question ko po is, do you think the youth should take love seriously? As in, yung love po na katulad nga ng boyfriend, girlfriend, etc. Yung mga ganong relationships po. Should we take it seriously or not?
Sa edad ninyo, no? Yung sa ating karanasan at sa ating mga pag-aaral, hindi yan hindi intentional na gawing seryoso ang relasyon, no? At the start talaga, when the youth started to court and started to date, it's actually like liking. But later on, they would realize na, I think this person is really means to me. So I would make this a serious one. At the start, it's not an intentional, no? Hindi yan purposive yung una. Later na yan. Parang mas adult ang ginagawa yan sa adult. Yung, ayun, maghahanap na ako ng relasyon na seryoso talaga. But for young people, it's more of discovering kasi yan. More of exploring, no? What it is like to feel or to fall in love. But later on, you realize, I think he is the or she is the best for me, and I would take this seriously. But love is always serious. Once you use love, it's always serious. There is no space for nonsense, or it's a no nonsense when you talk about love. It's always perfect and true. But only yung paggamit nga natin na we thought it's love, but it isn't. That makes it imperfect. And that makes it not serious na sinasabi ni Andre.
Okay, that is very well said, sir. Tapos, regarding din po sa relationship, connected din po siya. Paano po ba natin masasabi na healthy or tama yung relationship na meron tayo ngayon?
Yun. So, ang basis lang, ang kailangan lang natin is that dapat kayong dalawa ay healthy as a person. Yung sinabi ko sa inyo na basic pag nagmahal tayo is tingnan muna natin yung sarili kung meron ba tayong kapasidad magmahal. Kadalasan sa relasyon ngayon at in many, not all, in many relationships, may mga breakups, away. It's because of issues, personal issues na meron. So yun yung sinabi ko na paano maging unhealthy relationship, balik ka muna sa sarili. You try to ask yourself, you try to fix yourself. Yung pagsiselos, these are signs of insecurities. These are personal issues. So you can't fully in a good relationship and a healthy relationship when you cannot or have not fixed yourself. But at some point, the relationship can fix you. No? The relationship can heal. No? May process na ganun. Sabi nga niya. So, ayun, ano ba yung mga signs na yan? So, yung healthy signs that you always give for the best, both of you. It's not just you give and give and give and give to the person, but the other person as well would also give to you, would also like understand, would also provide understanding. Tapos, I think hindi ko na sinama yan kasi mahaba. Kasi isang session talaga yan. Yung sinabi nating understanding yung love language ninyo, for example. Yung love language is very important. No? Yung, ano ba yung sinabing love language? No? May si Dr. Chapman nagsabi na merong 5 love languages on affirmation, on acts of service, baka makalimutan ko. Ba't i-search nyo yan? Acts of service, ano pa ba yung isa? Yung physical touch or touch, no? Sense of touch. Meron pang quality time and yung quality time at saka yung gift giving. These are the 5 languages. No? Ibig sabihin ito yung mga lingwahe kung paano tayo nagmahal. Kadalasan, nag-aaway-away yung relasyon na yan. It's because hindi makatugma yung kanilang lingwahe, yung love language nga nila. For me, for example, my love language is yung quality time. I want to spend quality time with my relationship, no? So, ibig sabihin yan, kahit wala kayong gagawin, it would just be alright. Kasi importante, spending time with your loved one. So, if this is your love language, this is also the love language that you want to receive from your partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, no? So, yung acts of service is yung magluluto, ganyan, no? Tapos yung affirmation is laging hindi ka papayag kung wala talagang I love you, yung mga good things na sasabihin mo. Tapos ito pang sinasabi naman nating ano yung isa, yung touch naman is that yung holding hands, yung magakbay, yung kissing, that's very important to you if this is your love language. At yung isa naman is gift giving, yung pagbibigay lagi. So you always have to learn, ito pala yung gusto niya. So, and this is how the person also expresses his love. So I would adjust. So isa yan sa mga signs na nagkakatugma kayo, and yung respect, may respect at may boundary lagi. And you have to understand that hindi porket kayo ay nasa relasyon, you control each other's lives. That is manipulation, no? And at some point, it would lead to aggression and violence. Kasi yung parang hindi ka pwedeng lumabas, hindi ka pwedeng umalis, no? But ang tendency kasi niyan ay yung anong tawag nito, nagmamanipulate ka. Yun, manipulation na yun. Yung bawal kang makipagkita sa mga barkada, bawal kang pumunta dun, bawal kang makipag-chat kay ganito. But later on, pag hindi yan nasunod, maggalit ka na. So there is like an aggression. So may away na yan. Minsan, ano pang gagawin? So that's unhealthy. So may respect yung sinasabi ko. So you have to understand that each individual, you both ay kaiba. At kailangan yung respeto. May boundary yun. You have to respect. So, yeah. Basic na ano lang muna.
Okay, so thank you for the enlightenment, sir. This will be my final question. In your opinion, sir, what is the greatest love of all?
So the greatest love of all, especially in our experience of God. But of course, that's given. But the greatest love of all is discovering that you are discovering yourself. You are loved. You are affirmed by God and by your family. So it's something like also like loving yourself. Yung sinasabi nga isang song. Because it's like an affirmed self. It's like a loved self. Yun yung ano, yung ibig sabihin, yun yung naramdaman mo yung tunay na pagmamahal sa mundo. Diyos ng mga kapwa. Yun yung pinaka-importante. But it would sound like, selfish in a way. But if you receive this affirmation of love kasi, this becomes automatic that you share this. You share this in many forms. It could be like you love others. It would just be very easy for you to do good things for others. And these are acts of love. To do good things to others, to do good to your friend, to your church. No, this can be expressed in many, many forms actually. Yung sinabi ko sa inyo na greatest love of feeling like you are affirmed and loved by God and by the people around you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brother John Ray, sa mga katanungan na yun. At syempre, sa pagsagot Talagang napakaraming naming natutunan, Brother Cyril. Maraming salamat po.
Sobra po. Sobrang informative po ng mga salita na yung bawat salita na binibigay po talaga ninyo, talaga pong nagno-notes kami. Tumatatak po talaga siya sa amin kasi isa po siyang malaking realization sa amin. So,
Tama.
bago lumisan si Sir John Ray, bago umalis si Sir John Ray, baka mayroon ka gustong i-shout out or batiin dyan?
Okay, so shoutout po sa school ko, Grace of Shekinah School. Siyempre, sa inyo po, maraming salamat po sa pag-imbita sa akin as a guest din also. So, salamat po sa pagsagot sa aking mga katanungan at pagbibigay ng enlightenment sa akin. In love po, God bless and keep safe. Take care.
Thank you so much, Brother John
Maraming
Ray. Ingat
salamat,
palagi.
John Ray. Gayon din po sa Grace of Shekinah School sa papaunlak ng aming imbitasyon upang maging guest school sa gabing ito. Thank you!
Thank you, ma'am.
Muli po, Mr. Cyril, ay mula po sa Komisyon ng Kabataan ng Menor Basilica at Parokya ng La Purisima Concepcion, kami po ay lubos na nagpapasalamat sa pagpapaunlak ng aming paanyaya bilang maging guest speaker sa gabing ito. At bilang pasasalamat po, narito po ang isang sertipikong aming handog sa inyo. Kuya BJ, maaari mo bang basahin ang nilalaman nito?
Yes. Certificate of Appreciation is proudly presented to Mr. Cyril Ryan Lituañas for being the resource speaker and for graciously sharing his time in Youth Talks, Youth in Love, given the 16th of February 2022 in the year of the Lord. Signed, Sister Mary Grace Simba, our PCY coordinator, and our spiritual advisor, Reverend Father Francis Joel Cruz.
Yay! Muli po, Mr. Cyril, ay maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much
you,
po.
Thank you. Ako'y nag-enjoy at alam ko na konti lang ang ating oras. But maraming salamat.
Muli po maraming salamat po sa paglalaan po ng oras para sa amin. Ngayon, dumako na tayo, Ate Grace, sa pag-shoutout sa ating mga viewers na talagang sumubaybay para sa episode natin ngayong gabi. Ngayon,
mula po kay Ian Carlo Ramirez, salamat po, Sir Cyril.
mula po kay Danica Shoson, thank you so much po, Brother Cyril. May God bless you more po. Ayan. Si
John
Kuya
Flores.
John Flores.
Shout out! Hello, John!
Si Isabel watching from New York,
From New York, Cubao.
Ayan.
Mula kay Roman Mortala Eusebio, salamat po, Sir Cyril.
At meron pang isang shout out. Happy birthday daw po,
Happy birthday, Arsene and Bea! Happy birthday!
Ayan, sabi naman ni
Mula
Tita
po kay Tita
Libay,
Libay.
Venerayan Aguirre, sa pag-ibig, may nagkatagpo pero di tinadhana. Learn to move on.
Learn to move
Makakatagpo
on.
ka rin.
Makakatagpo ka rin.
Talagang tagos na tagos.
Mula po kay Maxine Santos, ganda po ng talk. Thank you po, Brother Cyril.
Okay. Okay po. At sabi naman
Maraming
ni Brother
salamat
Dexter
po.
Mauricio, thank you, Sir Cyril. Ingat po palagi. Okay.
Maraming salamat po sa muling pagsama sa amin sa gabing ito. Muli po ay magkita-kita tayo sa susunod na 6th episode at huwag po natin kalimutan na sagutan ang mga Google Sheet form na nakapin sa comment section for checking of attendance.
At syempre po, wag po natin kalilimutan na i-follow at i-like ang ating mga Facebook at YouTube channel, ang La Purisima Concepcion Parish Commission on Youth. Gayon din po ang page at YouTube channel ng ating Minor Basilica.
Muling paalala, ang Google Forms po natin ay good for 1 hour para po sa pagsasagot nito.
Yes po, kaya wag po natin kalimutan mag-fill up At sa katapusan po ng ating series ng talk na ito ay makakatanggap tayo ng Certificate of Completion and Recognition. Okay po? Muli po, maraming pong salamat sa pagsubaybay kasama namin ngayong gabi. At magkita-kita po tayo sa susunod na episode. Ito po muli ang
Youth Talk!
#YouthTalks. Bye-bye po!
Father, do you hear me? I'm trying to feel your presence in our midst, and in silence I'm trying to listen. How long will I wait to hear your answers in my prayer? My son, I heard all your prayers. I saw your actions. I knew everything you need when I felt all your pains and sufferings. But son, remember that there is time for everything. Father, do you hear me? I am here in front of you, asking for forgiveness, sharing my sadness, kneeling and praying, meditating in silence, hoping to fill my life with your love and grace. Father, don't let me dwell in darkness. Teach me your path, guide me by your light, and I long to live in your house, O Lord, to gaze on your beauty all the days of my life. Father, do you hear me? I am here in front of you, asking for forgiveness, sharing my sadness, kneeling and praying, meditating in silence, hoping to fill my life with your love and grace. Father, do you hear me? Voice my soul. I am here in front of you, darkness of forgiveness, sharing my sadness, kneeling and praying, meditating in silence, hoping to fill my life with your love and grace. Father, do you hear me? I am here in front of you, asking for forgiveness, sharing my sadness, kneeling and praying, meditating in silence, hoping to fill my life with your love and grace. I'll be the one should listen
Bye-bye po.
Muli po ay maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat, sa lahat ng sumubaybay sa kani-kanilang tahanan sa gabing ito.
Salamat
Thank you so much po.
Picture po.
Nakalive po